joins us again here on the show. Great to see you, Congressman. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to be back.
You know, you were sitting right next to Eric Davis. Were you stunned by what you heard when he described these 4 different classifications or species of aliens?
Yeah, I was. That it was really, to me, it was the realization that, oh, this is happening on camera. This is well, it wasn't an official hearing, and Eric Davis was not under oath. So just kind of keep that in your,
Thank you for clarifying that. I was going to ask you that because it looked like it wasn't an under oath official briefing. So thank you for so he didn't have to go under oath to make those comments.
And that's not me suggesting that he was lying. I'm just saying that he said so without being under oath. I have, and to your point, what you said earlier, I have been in meetings with individuals, not in a classified setting, where they've brought up the 4 distinct classifications of aliens. Not that I believe it. I have yet to see any evidence that is the case. But it's there's common tropes that you hear from the UAP community, and that is one of them.
So I want to go through these 4. Let's talk the grays. We don't have actual photos. I wish we did, Congressman, but these are, I guess, artist renditions of what grays. There's the Nordics as well. These are, you can read many instances of this. Insectoids. This is artist renderings of what people have claimed they look like. And then the reptilians. Now, David Icke has, covered the reptilians angle on this for decades. He's been out there saying that reptilians have been actively involved in basically running things. People have called him a kook for it. But he's stood firm in this for decades and says he doesn't care what you think of him. He knows. I just got to ask you, first of all, have you ever spoken to David Icke about this? He seems to really be an expert in that level of it.
I have not. In fact, until just now, I have not heard of his name. So if you've got a contact with him, I'm happy to listen to him. I will listen to anyone. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to believe everything that everybody says. But look, in the search for this truth, I think that you can't really close any doors. And so that's why I'm heads down pursuing this with every kind of spare moment that I've got. Of course, we're in August recess. I just spent half the day fundraising, spent the other half of the day going to district events. And we just have full schedules. But every moment that I have free, if I have a free moment, I'm focused on this effort.
Well, I mean, I have to say, I really honor that. And this is not me blowing smoke, but I really think that this is one of the most important stories. If we have, like, you can think whatever you want. Most of our audience is pretty awake. We've got a few people that are like, what, aliens? This is real? Like, they'll come around eventually at some point. But most of our audience understands this. And I think, and they know that the government has been lying to us. And I think that's at the heart of this. And we as taxpayers have been funding this, whether at the Pentagon or other places where they've got trillions of dollars that have gone missing that we've paid for, that Americans have worked hard every day to send our taxes to the United States government, and they're spending it on things that we're not allowed to know about. And as members of Congress, you're not allowed to know about. I just find it incredibly infuriating.
It is, absolutely. And I share that frustration and really an anger. Because it's not just the UAP phenomenon, it's actually much broader. When you look at the fact that we're just now getting, and it's been trickling in, information about the JFK assassination. It took, 70 years for the CIA to finally be honest about some of the things that happened, and they're still not fully honest about what happened and their involvement there. People are still wanting to know what happened with Epstein. And all of these other conspiracies, at the end of the day, the American people are sick and tired of this government thinking that they know better than the American people on these topics, and they're withholding information. And it really kind of drives at the question, do we own the government, or does the government own us? Does the CIA, are they responsible to elected officials and to the people? Or the intelligence community that are responsible to the taxpayers, the ones that are paying their salaries and their bills, and that's why it's infuriating to me if we're not able to get a hold of these things and bring some level of transparency back to the American people.
Among these private meetings you've had, and you don't have to tell tales out of school if you don't want to, but when we talk about these 4 different species of aliens, what to you has been the most eye-opening, sort of jaw-dropping? You're a guy from Missouri. Like, I don't know that this is something you would normally hear, you know, and what's like the most jaw-dropping thing that you've heard maybe in private in these conversations with people who have been insiders working on these Pentagon programs, alien programs, reverse engineering programs? What shocked you to your core?
Right. And what I've learned is, Clayton, I unfortunately have to preface this with, I don't necessarily espouse these beliefs. I'm just going to convey to you what I've been told by other people.
Right.
And the common tropes that I hear that really kind of are shocking are that people are able to, through some form of mental exercise, be able to call in UAP, non-human intelligence. There are events or people that have come to my office, have had active, discussions. In fact, I told one of them, I just called their bluff and said, all right, if you can do it, let's go do it right now. Let's go outside and you can call in a UAP and I'll call, and if it comes down, that'll make national news, right? Sadly, that did not happen. So, but that is probably one of the more shocking things is the number of people that tell me that they're able to use their consciousness to be able to call in some kind of craft. And sometimes these people profess to be Christians, some are not, which is interesting. The whole religious aspect just really keeps coming up in this topic. And so it really almost seems inescapable from spirituality and religion.
Yeah, I know that's something that friend of the show, Tucker Carlson, he and I have talked about this at length, is the idea of the religious side of this, the angel side of this, and all of that. And I will say that the sort of the telepathy aspect of this story that you've been hearing is repeated countless times by people who've been in the secret space program, who are whistleblowers who've come forward in the secret space program. One of the reasons they've been chosen to be a part of the secret space program is because of that telepathy ability. Like they're at a higher level of consciousness. We've had U.S. Air Force whistleblowers on our show who were part of the secret space program, who've been to the moon base. You can believe it or not, but it's sort of up to people to make their own decisions about this. I guess I'll get you out of here on this, Congressman. I'm disturbed by. So you sat next to a Pentagon scientist, well-respected Pentagon scientist, who is telling you to your face that there are 4 classifications of aliens. He's either seen them or has had contact. You've had private conversations with individuals who've confirmed the same thing as a member of Congress. And then YouTube puts up a disclaimer under that hearing's video. So I just want to put this. And this, I think, speaks to how they try to downplay this stuff, and whether it's deep state actors or whomever is involved, the CIA, and they put this little disclaimer underneath videos where you're not allowed to tell the truth. And it says reptilian humanoid, Wikipedia. Reptilian humanoids, also known as reptiloids, they're from mythology. They're folklore, Congressman. They're science fiction, and they're part of modern conspiracy theories. Like, this is YouTube putting a disclaimer underneath a sitting member of Congress interviewing a Pentagon scientist. Like, what's your take on how the media handles this stuff?
I'm okay with that. I'll say this one thing, and then I'll go kind of jump back to this question. There are moments when I get misquoted or and that's why I'm a little bit more guarded today. I get misquoted all the time, and people kind of jump to things. One of the things right now that's like going around the internet is that, and in fact, the articles from Esquire and all these come from an interview where I was asked point blank, do I believe that giants once existed, connecting Nephilim and all that kind of stuff. And, as a Christian, who's read the Bible, who knows the story of David and Goliath, who knows the story of the book of Exodus, where they encountered what is described as giants. I had to say, yes, I do believe that was probably the case because I believe the Bible. Now, and so, the internet just kind of goes on a tirade about things like that. that being said, going back to this topic, when I was sitting there with Eric Davis, who is a Pentagon scientist, worked with the CIA, and he's saying these things, he has to understand the level of credibility that he brings to this topic and seriousness. And the question at hand is it true? If it's true, it's shocking. And then if it's not true, that's also shocking, because if it's not true, then the question is, why are we receiving a disinformation campaign from people that are former military, government employees, former members of the intelligence community, that are repeating the same narrative? And if it's not true, then we have to ask the question, why are we allowing our government to lie to us?
Right. Yeah. And we're paying for it if that's the case.
Yes.
Well, we know from Richard Dolan, we know the campaigns back in the day to make all of us look nutty by talking about UFOs and calling us conspiracy nuts and everything else. So I wouldn't put it past them. But at this level, with these insiders and these, these individuals who've lost everything and had their lives destroyed by coming forward and telling the truth about it, it just doesn't add up to me. It just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't pass the smell test at all. And by the way, also that Earth, that you and I are it. Like, this is it. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. We are the highest level of civilization, and I just don't buy that at all. Congressman, great to see you. Oh, and by the way, I should mention, Congressman, that I'm definitely in the camp that believes in giants. In fact, Timothy Alberino, who's a great researcher and who's written books on this, Christian writer, he's going to be in our studio in a few weeks, and we're going to do a deep dive on all of his archaeology on the giants, the corpses, and the skeletons that they found. So this is a safe space, Congressman.
Okay, good.
This is a safe space.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a very close personal friend now of Timothy Alberino. It's happened because of this topic. The two of us have become acquainted over the last 3 years since the Grush hearing, and so I think that as a Christian, he has really kind of pulled together a lot of things related to ancient civilization and the Bible, and kind of it gives a different perspective on this topic, on the UAP topic.
Worlds colliding. In fact, yeah, that's incredible. So you probably know a lot more about his positions on this than even I do. So, Congressman, great to see you. Thank you so much for this, and please don't be a stranger. I mean, as this committee hearings go on and more revelations are brought to the table, please bring them to our show and we'll share them with the world. And all the naysayers out there will have to eat crow. Looking forward to that.
Anytime you want me to come on, I'll be on.
Thanks so much, Congressman. Have a great rest of your summer. We appreciate it.
You too.